Regret I loved him. I need to share something that's been eating me alive, and maybe it'll save someone else from making the same mistake. A few years ago, I thought I was in love. No, scratch that, I knew I was in love. So much so that I did something crazy. I ran away from home with this guy my parents couldn't stand. They said he was no good, that he'd only hurt me, but I was too stubborn, too blinded by love, to listen. We got married in secret, and for a while, it felt like we were living a fantasy. Then I found out I was pregnant, with twins. I was terrified, but also excited. I thought, this is it. We're going to be a real family. But when our daughters were born, that fantasy shattered into a million pieces. You see, instead of being happy, instead of celebrating our beautiful baby girls, he looked at me with disappointment. He actually had the nerve to say, "Why didn't you give me a son?" I was in shock. How could he be so ungrateful, so backward? We live in the 21st century, and here he was, treating me like I'd failed him just because we had daughters. From that moment, everything spiraled out of control. He started going out more, staying out all night, leaving me to care for our twins alone. When I asked if I could just have a night off, just one break, he'd explode. "You're a mother now. Stay home where you belong," he'd shout. And if I dared to argue, he'd turn violent, hitting me, pushing me around. I was terrified, but I didn't know what to do. As if that wasn't enough, after giving birth, I gained some weight. Nothing major, just the normal baby weight. But he made sure to make me feel worthless about it. "You're not attractive anymore," he'd sneer. "No wonder I don't want to be home." I started to feel like I didn't even exist to him, like I was just a shadow of the woman I used to be. And then, one day, he dropped the biggest bombshell of all. He told me he wanted a divorce. And why? Because I'd failed him by giving him 2 daughters instead of a son. Because I wasn't the perfect, slim wife he thought he deserved. I was shattered. How could someone be so cruel, so heartless? Now I'm here, broken, raising 2 little girls on my own, and all I can think about is how my parents were right all along. They knew he was bad news, but I didn't listen. I didn't want to hear it. And now, I'm too ashamed, too scared, to go back and ask for their forgiveness. But I can't keep living like this. I have to find the strength to go back to them, to beg them to take me back, even though I know I don't deserve it. So please, if you're thinking about making a decision that could cut you off from the people who love you most, think twice. I wish I had listened. I wish I had known that love isn't supposed to hurt like this. Don't make the same mistake I did.